The European Commission has announced that EU counter-tariffs on a list of US products will be implemented on Friday.
Today, the College endorsed the decision to impose additional duties on the full list of the US products notified to the World Trade Organization as part of the EU's response to the US tariffs on steel and aluminium products. Following today's decision to apply additional duties to selected imports from the United States, the Commission expects to conclude the relevant procedure in coordination with Member States before the end of June, so that the new duties start applying in July. The application of the rebalancing duties is fully in line with the WTO rules. It is a measured and proportionate response to the unilateral and illegal decision taken by the United States to impose tariffs on the European steel and aluminium exports, which we regret.
The countermeasures will initially target a list of US goods worth a total of $3.2 billion, most of which will be hit with import duties of 25%. The retaliatory measure comes in response to US tariff hikes on steel and aluminium that were imposed on EU member countries in June. The news comes as President Trump continues to press his America First economic policy that could potentially start a global trade war. Indeed, the EU is not the only part of the world that has faced the wrath of the Orange Man in the White House. Canada and Mexico have also announced similar countermeasures to those commissioned by the EU, and across the Pacific Ocean, old rival China under President Xi Jinping is not best pleased by Washington's actions.
Now, I know you'll know that we had some strong, firm conversations on trade and specifically American tariffs. I reiterated to President Trump that these tariffs threaten to harm industry and workers on both sides of our border. I stand ready to work closely with the President to resolve this dispute swiftly, but as I have consistently said, I will always protect Canadian workers and Canadian interests.
Despite the criticism of Trump, Jonathan Davis, financial expert and founder of Jonathan Davis Wealth Management, believes that the president is merely addressing long-standing trade imbalances.
I'm quite sure it will not. Trump's White House negotiation tactics globally are paying massive dividends in whether it's politics, immigration, or imports-exports. For example, the EU can do whatever it wants. The superstate, the unelected bureaucrats in the EU. But then you get to the real business of people actually trying to make us prosperous. I read just yesterday, Germany's leading car manufacturers have called on the EU to scrap its import tariffs on US cars. Which are far higher than those imposed on European cars entering America. Why? Because the businessmen, the people who are actually the captains of industry who are trying to make money and make us all prosperous, they realize that the EU are on a hiding to nothing. So what Trump and his negotiators are doing, as I say, right across the piece, is they're saying, look, we've had enough of nonsense. This is the way it's going to be. Either take it or not. If you do take it, then we're all going to be more prosperous. I absolutely congratulate the German car manufacturers executives for this initiative. They want to scrap tariffs. I want to scrap tariffs because that's the way we make ourselves more prosperous. Trump's tariffs. What an astounding statement. Trump's tariffs. You know as well as I do that the EU, China, Canada, Mexico, etc., they've had tariffs for, quote, ever, unquote. All Donald Trump is doing is redressing the balance. And incidentally, he's doing exactly what he said on the tin prior to his election. So all he's doing is what he said he would do if he were elected. What a shocker. A politician actually doing what he said he would do.
So far, it seems that Trump is not fazed by the prospect of triggering global economic meltdown. The EU and all those affected by American tariffs will be hoping that their countermeasures will be effective in making the US fall back in line with global trade norms. Daniel Rao, Radio Sputnik.